I wrote an article for the latest issue of Open Road, our members magazine, covering the impact of the recent Rachel Reeves budget for motorcyclists. For this video, I want to focus on what I was saying about VED, and if you stick with me, I'll even get to the detail of Mag's campaigning position on this vastly popular tax on motorcycling. Do you think that the road tax or vehicle excise duty that we pay for our motorcycles is fair? No, I didn't think so. I've never met a biker that doesn't scowl when the subject of VED is raised. I see many comments on our social media posts and videos asking why Mag isn't doing something about it. Come on, do you really think that we're not campaigning on VED? I wrote an article for the latest issue of Open Road, our members magazine, covering the impact of the recent Rachel Reeves budget for motorcyclists. The article is titled Black Holes and Revelations, a title that's shamelessly stolen from the 2006 Muse album. It seemed very apt with all the noise about £22 million black holes that dominated the news cycle on the lead up to the revelation that was to be the new Labour government's first budget. I won't repeat all the detail from that article here. If you're a MAG member, you can read the full article in your copy of Open Road. If you're not a MAG member, you could join MAG Quick and receive a copy of issue 116 in the new membership pack that you receive. For this video, I want to focus on what I was saying about VED, and if you stick with me, I'll even get to the detail of MAG's campaigning position on this vastly popular tax on motorcycling. The VED taxation is a system that has been disfigured over the years by various attempts to manipulate your purchasing choices. It now requires a degree in bureaucratic contortion techniques to decipher it, but here's my interpretation of what you're going to be charged going forward. Rates for VED for all bands applicable to motorcycles will rise with inflation. So from April 2025, the rate is £26 for an up to 150cc motorcycle, £57 for a 150 to 400, £87 for up to 600cc, and £121 for anything over 600cc. But if you're one of the tiny number of riders that have chosen to go electric, I'm afraid there is bad news. Electric motorcycles are going to be hit with VED charges for the first time from April. This was not a new announcement in this budget. The previous government announced back in 2022 that from April 2025, electric vehicles, including motorcycles, will begin to pay VED. Sorry guys, the VED exemption for electric motorcycles is coming to an end. Electric motorcycles which were exempt will move to the annual rate for the smallest internal combustion engine size. This puts the VED for an electric motorcycle at £26 from April. I take it that this applies to all electric motorcycles regardless of when they all were or will be registered. It is far more confusing for cars though. I struggle to understand the logic here, but if I'm reading the small print correctly, electric cars registered between 2017 and 2025 will pay £195 VED. While those registered between 2001 and 2017 will pay £20. Electric cars registered after the 1st of April 2025 will pay £10 in the first year and then £20 after that. Am I really reading all that right? Why are EVs registered between 2017 and 2025 to be charged more than those registered before and after that period? Answers on a postcard, please. But more importantly for us bikers, you have to ask, if the government wants to encourage the take-up of the most environmentally virtuous transport choices, why are new cars getting a bigger incentive than motorcycles? The VED for a new electric car will be lower than the rate for an electric motorcycle. New zero-emission bikes will be paying £26, while cars will pay a first-year rate of £10. Even after the first year, the new electric cars will still pay a lower rate than electric motorcycles, with the rate being £20. And this bit really gets me. Any hybrid or internal combustion engine car emitting less than 110 grams per kilometre of CO2 will pay less VED than an electric motorcycle. So for example, you'll be able to pay £10 VED in the first year followed by £20 subsequently for a brand new 2-litre diesel Volkswagen Golf, while you'll pay £26 VED for an all-electric 0 DSR. This shows that the same illogical anti-motorcycle bias in VED is transferring into the electric vehicle sphere. It has existed for the conventional ICE motorcycles for many years and shows no signs of disappearing in the electric future. What is the logic for lower VED for electric cars and for electric motorcycles? If anyone can come up with an explanation beyond an anti-motorcycle bias at the Treasury, I would love to hear it. In the article, I point out that in the lead up to the budget, there were weeks of chatter about pressure being placed on the Labour government to introduce paper mile tax. Despite all the extended coverage and the confected certainty amongst the pundits and the experts, the threat didn't materialise. To be fair to the government, spokespeople did clearly state before the election we have no plans of introducing road pricing. But naturally no one, whatever they are lobbying for, ever believes a word that the government spokespeople say. So this leads me neatly on to MAG's campaigning position on VED. We of course entirely agree with the overwhelming disgust shown by bikers about the disproportionate level of VED that we have to pay. Our position is to argue for the simplification of the VED system. We believe that all classes of vehicles should be charged proportionately and on the same criteria, not some on cylinder capacity, some on CO2 emissions and others on axle weight. It just doesn't make sense. The only logical and fair approach is a vehicle weight-based charge applied to all vehicle categories. The heavier the vehicle, the more wear and tear the road network. The heavier the vehicle, the more energy is required to move it along the road network. The heavier the vehicle, the more emissions will come from the tailpipe or from the brakes and tyres. The heavier the vehicle, the more materials and embedded carbon emissions the vehicle is responsible for. The heavier and therefore larger the vehicle, the more congestion it causes. Naturally, motorcycles are the lightest vehicles that the VED applies to and logically should pay the lowest levels of VED. Does that sound reasonable to you? So yes, VED for motorcycles is unfair. Yes, VED for motorcycles is going to continue to be unfair unless we convince the government to change it. And yes, MAG is campaigning for a fair VED system. So why not join MAG and help us get the result that you are looking for?